In this short video, I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to create a simple weekly show for the slides for a church service. We've tried to set this up in a way that makes it simple, so I hope this is easy to follow. The first thing that we need to do once we open Freeshow, it may sync just as it opens. You just allow some time for that to happen. And then once you are in Freeshow, you're most likely going to see the previous show that was open. In this case, it was just the Sunday that's passed, the 20th of July. And the way that we create a new one, because we don't want to edit last week's one, is that we go back, and we've created this button at the bottom. If you click on this, it creates a new show, which you can name for the appropriate service, and it'll also then input a lot of the commonly used parts to that show. So let me show you what I mean. If I say I'm creating a new one now for next Sunday, which is the 27th, I'll start by clicking on this button. You'll see it inputs the template under the current shows. So we can just go ahead and rename this to the 27th of July. And when we press enter, you'll see that we go into that show file, and it's already pre-populated it with a lot of the common parts to an average service. So we've got our welcome, our countdown, the announcements, the reading and prayer, the offering, Sunday school, and farewell. By clicking on any of these, we can then go into that part of the service and make any changes that we need to. Some of the most common changes that we need to make are changing the pre-service images that are displayed. Perhaps there's an upcoming event that we want to add, or something that's happened and we need to take out. So just keep an eye on that. And the way that we do that is that we would go down to media and find something that we wanted to add. Let's just take a graphic here, for instance, and we would just click and drag that into the show wherever we want it to be. And when we see the pink line in between two slides, we'll just drop it there and it inputs it. Especially for the pre-service countdown, just be aware that we have a time set up on each slide that advances to the next one. So in this case, when we drop a slide, we don't have a timer on here. You'll see there's no 6 seconds like the others. So we just select it, right-click, slide actions, next slide timer, and then we'll just make that 6 seconds like the rest. And close it. And you'll see now that it's inputted that. And after 6 seconds, it should go on to the next slide. Perhaps this was an event that has just passed, and we want to remove it from the pre-service countdown. We simply right-click on it and can say delete, and it removes it from there. Moving on then to the rest of the service. Every week you will have to add the songs that we are going to be singing together on a Sunday. So I trust that you would have seen the order of service for this coming week. So by taking the order on there, you should be able to match this order with the order of service that one of the pastors has sent you. So if we have to add songs, we'll just go into shows, under songs, and then we'll select the songs that we need and simply click and drag and then position it in the correct order in the service order. And you'll see there it's inputted, that one. Again, if you need to make a change or delete that, you can just right-click and say remove, and it removes it from the list. So once you've updated the graphics, you've inputted the songs, the only other outstanding bit should really be the sermon slides. Now you'll notice that there isn't a section here for the sermon slides. So the way that we do that is we go on to shows, sermons, and then we'll say new show here at the bottom of the screen. And this will then create a new show in which we can put the sermon slides for the coming week. So I click on that, and this one will then be for the 27th of July. And if we say a new empty show, then it creates that here and it positions it in our library. And you'll also see that it's put it at the bottom of our show list for this coming Sunday. But that's not where we want it. We want to take that and put it after the Sunday school dismissal. So we'll drop it in. So this is now, you'll see this icon here that indicates that it's a sermon. And it's still a blank show though. So the way that we'll need to do that then is to go into, to add the slides for the sermon. We'll need to go into our Google Drive folder, and we will need to look under the sermon slides subfolder there, and then make sure that those are in JPEG or PNG format, and then you'll need to drag that into the show for the Sunday. So I'll just show you what that looks like. Because those are images, they'll be under Media. So we click Media. If we go down here to Sermon Slides, this is our synced Google Drive folder. You can see from the pop-up here that it's the T drive, My Drive, Freeshow Media, Images, Sermon Slides. So that's the directory where the sermon slides will be kept. So we'll click on that. We'll find the slides that we would have put in, or the pastor would have put in for Sunday. So in this case, we'll just choose one that's already passed by clicking on it. And then we'll see here are all our slides. And to select that, we'll just go Control All, and then we'll click and drag and drop them in here. So now you see that our sermons part to our service now has the sermon slides in for Sunday. So it's quite a straightforward, easy way to do that. I'd encourage you, when you are inputting the new slides, especially, or even before you input them, just to make sure that they have a unique file name. If these are labeled slide 1, 2, 3, and 4, then if you do the same next week, there's a chance that Freeshow may get confused with which slide 1, 2, 3, and 4 that you want. So I just usually put the sermon title and then put 1, 2, 3, or 4, etc. on the end of the sermon title, and that just helps to keep the file names unique and avoid any confusion. All right, I think those are pretty much the basics. Other things that you will just want to keep an eye on is to maybe update some of the audio that's on the Sunday school dismissal slide, for instance, the welcome, the pre-service playlist, and you can change those by clicking on audio and then changing one of the contents of these playlists. So here's the pre-service. If I click on that, there's 3 songs in there currently. You can right-click on these and remove and add new ones, whatever you want to do. You can change those audio playlists there. The other function that we want to change is in our calendar, and that's really just setting up a scheduled action to start the pre-service countdown and start the welcome on a Sunday morning. To edit those, you can click. So this is last week. If I click on this, it displays the 2 actions that were scheduled for last week, and I can simply click on these and edit the date in which this action will run. So for this following Sunday, that'll be the 27th. If I click Save, you'll see that it's now moved it down to this coming Sunday. So if I click on, and we want to change both of those because they initiate different items in the pre-show, in the pre-part of the service. So this one I'll also change now to the 27th, and I'll click Save. Okay, so that's really running through a lot of the basics of setting up a show for Sunday. Once you have finished editing, the program is set to automatically sync once you are finished. So just allow some time for that. So we'll go up to the top, we'll click Close, and then Save and Quit. And you'll see that then saves at the bottom, syncs with the cloud to ensure that it syncs with the other computers that might be set up as well, to ensure that we're all running the latest version. All right, I hope that's helpful, and all the best as you set up the slides for this Sunday and Sundays to come.